Hollywood loves to sell the fantasy of perfect stars, charming, humble, easy to work with. But anyone who has ever stepped onto a real set knows the truth is far messier. Behind the camera lights are tempers waiting to explode, egos bigger than the budgets, and personalities so toxic that entire crews whisper warnings before a shoot even begins. Some actors made co-workers cry, some derailed productions with outrageous demands, and others turned every day on set into a battlefield no one got paid enough to survive. But the real question is this: which 25 stars earned reputations so notorious that directors, crew members, and even their co-stars swore they would never work with them again? And who sits at the very top of Hollywood's most hated list, the name everyone quietly agrees is the worst of all? Stay until the final reveal. It's the one story even the studios tried to bury. 25. Katherine Heigl. Katherine Heigl began her rise as a widely admired actress, whose charm, relatability, and polished screen presence made her one of Hollywood's most bankable talents. Audiences embraced her mix of sincerity and humor, and studios positioned her as a dependable leading lady who could open films and anchor long-running television arcs. At the height of her fame, she appeared poised to become a defining figure of her era. Behind the camera, however, colleagues encountered a very different dynamic. Writers described recurring disputes over dialogue and structure, while directors reported pushback on scenes she felt were creatively lacking. Production members recalled delays caused by sudden objections, tense negotiations over rewrites, and moments where she openly challenged the quality of material she had already agreed to perform. Interviews in which she criticized her own projects only fueled the perception that she undervalued the work of others around her. As word circulated, enthusiasm from filmmakers began to fade. Studios grew more cautious, choosing actors with reputations for smoother collaboration, and high-profile roles that once came easily disappeared from her schedule. Although Heigl continued working the industry, increasingly associated her name with conflict rather than charm. Over time, the narrative surrounding her shifted permanently, marking one of Hollywood's most dramatic reputational declines. 24. Chevy Chase. Chevy Chase entered Hollywood as an undeniable comedic force, praised for his sharp timing, distinctive delivery, and effortless ability to dominate a scene. His work in television and film made him a cultural landmark, and to the public, he seemed like a naturally charismatic performer whose humor flowed without strain. His legacy as an early comedy icon felt solid and enduring. On set, though, colleagues often witnessed a very different side of him. Cast and crew frequently described curt remarks, impatience during rehearsals, and confrontational challenges to direction. Some recalled moments where he openly dismissed a co-star's performance, while others spoke of sudden mood shifts that left the team uncertain about how each day would unfold. Several productions reported work slowed or halted altogether due to disagreements that began with minor issues and escalated rapidly. As these accounts accumulated, Chase's professional standing shifted. Showrunners became reluctant to include him in ensemble casts. Writers stopped crafting roles tailored to his strengths, and industry insiders quietly warned new collaborators of potential conflict. While audiences still recognized his contributions to comedy, Hollywood increasingly viewed him through the lens of his on-set history. The legacy remained, but the desire to work with him diminished sharply. 23. Christian Bale. Christian Bale built his reputation as one of Hollywood's most disciplined and transformative actors, known for a level of commitment that set him apart from nearly everyone in his field. His striking physical transformations and intense emotional immersion earned him respect from critics and fans who saw him as the embodiment of artistic dedication. His public image was that of a perfectionist whose devotion justified extraordinary results. That same intensity, however, sometimes created a volatile atmosphere on set. Bale became known for moments where his focus snapped into anger, particularly when he felt the work was being compromised. Crew members described incidents where small disruptions triggered explosive reactions. The most infamous being a prolonged verbal outburst toward a colleague that later leaked publicly. Those who witnessed such moments said the tension could dominate an entire day of filming, with everyone adjusting their behavior to avoid provoking another eruption. Although Bale later apologized and acknowledged the impact of his actions, the event left a permanent impression. Directors continued to cast him because of his undeniable skill, but many approached collaborations with a heightened awareness of potential challenges. His reputation evolved into a dual narrative, a brilliant craftsman whose commitment could either elevate a production or unsettle it. The complexity became inseparable from his Hollywood identity. 22. Russell Crowe. Russell Crowe rose to prominence as one of Hollywood's most commanding leading men, admired for performances that blended emotional depth with explosive physicality. His roles in historical dramas and intense character pieces earned him global respect, and audiences viewed him as an actor capable of delivering authenticity at every level. His public persona reflected discipline, determination, and artistic seriousness. Behind the scenes, however, Crowe's intensity sometimes erupted into behavior that unsettled coworkers. Cast and crew members recounted heated arguments sparked by creative disagreements, sudden outbursts when technical issues disrupted a scene, and confrontations with directors that halted production. Even minor misunderstandings could escalate quickly, creating an environment where colleagues felt compelled to work around his temperament. For some, the pressure of anticipating his reactions made the set feel unusually tense. The accumulation of these incidents gradually reshaped his reputation. Although Crowe remained an exceptional performer, filmmakers became increasingly aware of the challenges his presence could introduce. Studios factored potential conflicts into negotiations, and several collaborators admitted privately that they preferred not to repeat the experience. His career continued, but the stories of volatility followed him, transforming him into one of Hollywood's most respected, yet notoriously difficult talents to manage. 21. Shia LaBeouf. Shia LaBeouf began his career as a charismatic, highly marketable young actor whose energy and spontaneity made him a standout, both in family entertainment and blockbuster franchises. Audiences admired his raw talent and emotional vulnerability, and early successes positioned him as one of Hollywood's most promising emerging stars, with a bright future ahead. On set, however, LaBeouf developed a reputation for unpredictability that challenged both directors and co-stars. Reports described clashes over creative direction, sudden disappearances during shoots, and moments where he broke from script without warning, disrupting entire sequences. Some colleagues recalled confrontations that escalated quickly, fueled by frustration or personal issues that spilled into the work environment. These disruptions created instability on productions that relied on consistency and coordination, causing tension across departments. As these stories multiplied, the industry grew more cautious. While many acknowledged his undeniable talent, the combination of erratic behavior and offset controversies made studios hesitant to cast him in major projects. Independent filmmakers continued to seek him out, but large-scale productions viewed him as a risk. His on-set behavior became part of a broader narrative of turbulence that overshadowed his early promise and altered the trajectory of his Hollywood career. 20. Dustin Hoffman. Dustin Hoffman built his reputation as one of Hollywood's most respected dramatic actors, admired for his emotional depth, meticulous preparation, and transformative performances across decades. Audiences embraced his authenticity, and critics praised him as a master of nuanced character work. His public image reflected dedication, intelligence, and artistic seriousness, establishing him as a cornerstone of modern American cinema. Behind the scenes, however, Hoffman's pursuit of realism sometimes created tension with cast and crew. Numerous reports described moments where he pushed co-stars to emotional extremes during rehearsals, arguing that the discomfort would strengthen the scene. Some actors recalled feeling blindsided or overwhelmed by his aggressive improvisations, which occasionally disrupted the set's collaborative environment. Directors recounted clashes when Hoffman resisted adjustments or insisted on lengthy debates over seemingly small creative details, slowing production and frustrating teams working under tight schedules. As these accounts spread, Hollywood began to view him with a more complicated lens. His undeniable talent remained, but filmmakers recognized that working with him required navigating unpredictable confrontations and emotionally taxing methods. Over time, the stories of difficult on-set behavior became a familiar part of discussions surrounding his legacy, adding a contentious layer to an otherwise celebrated career. 19. Lindsay Lohan. Lindsay Lohan began as one of Hollywood's brightest young talents, celebrated for her natural comedic timing, expressive emotional range, and ability to carry major studio films at a young age. Audiences embraced her charm, and industry insiders believed she was on track to become a long-term leading actress with extraordinary crossover appeal. Her early successes painted a picture of a star destined for enduring longevity. Behind the scenes, however, the pressures of fame collided with personal struggles, resulting in behavior that frequently disrupted productions. Directors recounted days when she arrived hours late, forcing crews to rearrange entire schedules. Co-stars described unpredictable moods disappearing from set without warning, and difficulty completing scenes that required focus. Some productions reported ballooning costs caused by delays attributed directly to her absences, while others faced public scrutiny as rumors spread about behind-the-scenes chaos. These issues created a working environment that many colleagues found exhausting and unsustainable. As the incidents accumulated, Hollywood's perception of her shifted dramatically. Studios became hesitant to ensure her films, and high-profile opportunities evaporated. Independent projects offered chances at redemption, but the stigma of unreliability overshadowed her attempts to regain footing. Though her talent remained undeniable, the legacy of her on-set behavior reshaped her career and became a defining part of her relationship with the industry. 18. Val Kilmer. Val Kilmer earned acclaim as a versatile actor capable of intense drama, sharp comedy, and transformative character work. Audiences admired his commitment and striking screen presence, while Hollywood recognized him as a performer with rare charisma and artistic ambition. His breakout successes established him as a reliable leading man who brought depth to even the most stylized roles. On set, however, Kilmer developed a reputation for uncompromising perfectionism that often escalated into conflict. Directors described disagreements that stretched for hours with Kilmer, insisting on revisions to blocking dialogue or tone. Crew members recalled moments when communication broke down entirely, leaving departments uncertain how to proceed. On certain productions, tensions grew so severe that confrontations became public, reinforcing rumors of difficult behavior. Co-stars also noted that his intensity sometimes overshadowed collaboration, creating an atmosphere where teamwork suffered under constant disagreement. These accounts eventually influenced casting decisions across the industry. Filmmakers still respected his talent, but many viewed him as a high-risk addition who could derail an otherwise smooth production. As roles diminished, Kilmer's career shifted toward smaller projects and independent films, with directors more willing to navigate his strong-willed approach. His legacy remained impressive, yet permanently complicated by the stories of friction that followed him. 17. Edward Norton. Edward Norton built a reputation as one of Hollywood's most intelligent and technically skilled actors, praised for his ability to shape complex characters and elevate material with thoughtful, meticulous performances. His public image reflected discipline and artistic integrity, earning him admiration from critics and audiences who saw him as a craftsman committed to meaningful work. Behind the camera, though, Norton became known for exerting strong control over the creative process, often clashing with directors and producers. He pushed for rewrites, altered scenes on the spot, and at times re-edited footage without authorization. Crew members described long shooting days extended by debates over structure or tone. Some collaborators appreciated his dedication, but others found his influence overwhelming, feeling their contributions were minimized or overridden. On certain projects, these disagreements escalated into widely reported disputes that overshadowed the films themselves. As these conflicts became public, studios began approaching him more cautiously, concerned about potential power struggles during production and post-production. While Norton continued to deliver acclaimed performances, opportunities in larger franchises diminished. His image evolved into that of a brilliant but demanding collaborator whose intensity both enhanced and complicated the filmmaking process. 16. Sean Penn. Sean Penn earned acclaim as one of Hollywood's most formidable dramatic actors, known for his emotional depth, commitment to realism, and unflinching approach to complex characters. Audiences respected his intensity, while critics consistently praised his range and artistry. His public persona reflected seriousness and conviction, giving him the image of a performer who approached his craft with rare dedication. On set, however, Penn's intensity sometimes spilled into confrontational behavior that strained relationships with colleagues. Crew members described moments where frustration escalated into shouting, particularly when technical issues interrupted important scenes. Directors recounted disagreements over tone or blocking that stretched into arguments, delaying production. Some actors noted that Penn carried tension into rehearsals, making the work environment feel volatile. These disruptions created a sense of unpredictability, with teams unsure when a routine day might shift into a heated confrontation, rooted in artistic passion or personal frustration. Over time, these stories began shaping how the industry interacted with him. While his talent remained undeniable, studios factored potential conflicts into negotiations, and some filmmakers quietly avoided projects that might become combustible. Penn continued to secure significant roles, but the narrative surrounding him grew more complex. His legacy as a brilliant performer became intertwined with the reputation of being a challenging collaborator whose on-set behavior often demanded careful management. 15. Jared Leto. Jared Leto built his reputation as a transformative, boundary-pushing actor whose devotion to method acting captivated audiences and critics alike. He was known for immersing himself completely into characters, often undergoing extreme physical and emotional changes that demonstrated extraordinary commitment. His public image centered on artistic fearlessness and a willingness to take risks others avoided. Behind the scenes, though, Leto's immersion sometimes created discomfort for coworkers. Reports from multiple productions described unusual behavior, carried out in the name of staying in character, including interactions that unsettled cast members and confused crew. Some collaborators recalled disruptions caused by pranks or props introduced without warning, derailing focus and slowing down the workflow. Directors occasionally struggled to maintain control when Leto's process clashed with the set's structure, leading to tension and frustration across departments. As these accounts circulated, the industry grew divided. Some admired his dedication, but many felt the cost to morale and efficiency outweighed the benefits. Studios became selective about casting him, particularly in ensemble productions, where cohesion was essential. Leto's reputation evolved into a blend of brilliance and controversy, with his on-set unpredictability becoming a frequent topic of discussion whenever he joined a project. 14. Bruce Willis. Bruce Willis became a defining figure in modern action cinema, celebrated for his charisma, humor, and ability to anchor blockbuster franchises with relatable toughness. His public persona suggested a seasoned professional who brought reliability and charm to every project, making him a favorite among global audiences for decades. Behind the camera, however, co-workers increasingly described interactions that made collaboration difficult. Directors noted instances where Willis resisted creative direction, declined to rehearse scenes he found uninteresting, or abruptly refused certain shots, forcing last-minute adjustments. Crew members recalled days marked by minimal communication, unclear expectations, and tension whenever scheduling demands conflicted with his preferences. These disruptions often slowed production and left colleagues frustrated, questioning how to navigate his disengaged or oppositional stance during key sequences. Over time, these stories reshaped how filmmakers viewed him. Producers weighed his star power against the risks of on-set friction, and several directors publicly expressed disappointment with the challenges they encountered. While Willis's legacy as an action icon remained strong, the accumulation of difficult experiences shifted industry perception, marking him as a figure whose on-set behavior often complicated otherwise straightforward productions. 13. Bill Murray. Bill Murray became beloved worldwide for his dry humor, effortless charm, and ability to bring both comedic and dramatic depth to his roles. Audiences saw him as a uniquely charismatic performer whose understated delivery made him instantly recognizable. His public persona suggested a quirky, laid-back star who drifted through Hollywood on his own terms, winning fans through unpredictability and wit. On set, however, Murray's unconventional personality sometimes turned difficult. Numerous colleagues described moments where jokes crossed into insults, where sudden mood swings derailed rehearsals, or where he withdrew cooperation during key scenes. Some productions reported tension caused by his reluctance to follow direction, or his habit of disappearing unexpectedly, leaving crews scrambling to adjust. Several co-stars admitted they felt intimidated or dismissed during confrontations that appeared to stem from frustration or boredom rather than genuine creative differences. These unpredictable patterns could shift the tone of an entire set. As the stories accumulated, Murray's reputation evolved into one of brilliance mixed with volatility. Directors admired his talent, but approached collaborations cautiously, knowing the experience could be either delightful or exhausting. In later years, additional allegations of inappropriate behavior further complicated his standing. While audiences continued to adore him, Hollywood insiders increasingly recognized the challenges that came with working alongside him. 12. Tom Hardy. Tom Hardy earned acclaim as one of the most intense and magnetic actors of his generation, admired for his physical transformations, emotional commitment, and ability to command the screen with minimal dialogue. His public image suggested a disciplined, fearless performer who pushed himself relentlessly to achieve authenticity in every role. Behind the scenes, however, Hardy's intensity sometimes strained relationships with cast and crew. Productions reported long delays caused by disagreements over blocking character motivation or script clarity. Some colleagues described days overshadowed by Hardy's frustration when scenes didn't unfold as he envisioned, leading to tension that spread across the set. There were moments when he clashed directly with directors, insisting on revisions or resisting logistical constraints that interrupted his creative process. These conflicts, though rooted in passion, created instability during tightly scheduled shoots. As more accounts surfaced, the industry acknowledged both Hardy's talent and his challenges. Directors continued casting him for roles requiring emotional depth, but many prepared themselves for demanding working conditions. While Hardy maintained respect for his craft, his reputation as a difficult collaborator became an inseparable part of discussions surrounding him. The duality of brilliance and friction followed him from project to project. 11. Wesley Snipes. Wesley Snipes rose to fame as one of Hollywood's most charismatic action stars, admired for his athleticism, sharp delivery, and ability to blend intensity with humor. His work in martial arts-driven films gave him a unique place in the industry, and audiences embraced him as a dynamic performer capable of elevating genre roles with distinctive energy. On set, though, his behavior often created challenges for co-workers. Reports from multiple productions described tension caused by disagreements over direction, resistance to performing certain takes, and long periods in which Snipes allegedly communicated only through notes or intermediaries. Some cast members recalled scenes delayed by his refusal to participate fully when he disagreed with the tone or structure. Crew members noted that his isolation from the team sometimes created confusion and slowed progress, particularly during ensemble sequences that required cooperation. Over time, these incidents reshaped how filmmakers approached working with him. Directors still valued his screen presence, but many weighed the potential for friction against the benefits he brought to a project. As his personal and legal issues became public, opportunities grew limited, and the narrative of difficult on-set behavior became intertwined with his career decline. Despite his talent, the industry's perception shifted sharply, affecting the roles he was offered. 10. Alec Baldwin. Alec Baldwin built a long and respected career as one of Hollywood's most versatile actors, known for his commanding presence, sharp comedic instincts, and ability to shift effortlessly between drama and satire. His public image reflected sophistication and charisma, supported by memorable performances that cemented his status as a major figure in film and television. Behind the scenes, however, Baldwin's temper became a defining challenge for many co-workers. Numerous productions reported heated arguments sparked by disagreements over dialogue, blocking, or timing. Some crew members described feeling on edge whenever minor technical issues interrupted his flow, as even small frustrations could escalate into confrontations. Fellow actors recounted moments where he criticized line delivery or pacing in ways that felt personal rather than constructive. These patterns created an atmosphere where teams braced themselves for volatility, unsure whether a scene would end in success or conflict. As these stories continued to emerge, Hollywood's perception of Baldwin shifted. Directors acknowledged his talent, but recognized that working with him required navigating his unpredictable reactions. Studios increasingly approached him with caution, weighing the benefits of his performance against the strain his presence might impose on a set. While he maintained a strong public following, the reputation for on-set eruptions became a lasting and widely discussed part of his career. 9. Sharon Stone. Sharon Stone became an international icon through her bold screen presence, magnetic charisma, and fearless approach to complex characters. Audiences admired her intensity, intelligence, and confidence, and Hollywood viewed her as a rare star capable of blending sophistication with provocative energy. Her public persona embodied glamour and sharp wit, further elevating her status. On set, however, Stone's assertiveness sometimes clashed with directors and crew. Reports described moments where she challenged creative decisions, demanded script changes, or dismissed suggestions she believed weakened the scene. Some collaborators said her strong personality could dominate the set, making it difficult for others to contribute freely. There were accounts of tense exchanges that halted production, while disagreements were resolved, and crew members occasionally felt overwhelmed by the forcefulness of her critiques. These interactions created a perception that working with her required navigating a demanding and often inflexible approach. Over time, this reputation shaped how Hollywood engaged with her. While Stone remained respected for her talent and iconic roles, filmmakers grew more selective, uncertain whether her intensity would enhance or complicate production. The duality of brilliance and difficulty became part of her professional identity, influencing the types of opportunities that came her way in later years. 8. Megan Fox. Megan Fox rose to global fame as a breakout star whose striking screen presence and sharp attitude made her instantly recognizable. Audiences viewed her as a confident, rebellious figure, unafraid to challenge Hollywood norms. Her early success in major franchises positioned her as one of the most talked-about actresses of her generation, both for her performances and her bold public persona. Behind the scenes, though, Fox's outspoken nature sometimes created friction with directors and producers. She became known for bluntly criticizing creative choices she disagreed with, and several collaborators described tension caused by her refusal to soften opinions during rehearsals or press interviews. On certain productions, Fox's comments about directors or working conditions sparked internal backlash, creating strained relationships long before shooting wrapped. Crew members reported challenges when frustration led to disengagement, slowing the pace and complicating coordination during high-pressure sequences. As controversies accumulated, Fox's standing in Hollywood shifted. Some studios saw her as a risk, concerned that conflicts could overshadow the project or disrupt workflow. Others admired her honesty, but hesitated to take on the accompanying scrutiny. While she remained a recognizable figure, her on-set reputation influenced casting decisions and limited her access to roles she might once have secured easily. 7. Terrence Howard. Terrence Howard earned recognition as a gifted actor with a smooth, magnetic presence and a natural emotional depth that resonated across both film and television. Audiences admired his authenticity and vulnerability, while critics praised his ability to shift seamlessly between intensity and quiet subtlety. His early successes positioned him as a major rising star with wide appeal. Behind the scenes, however, Howard developed a reputation for contentious interactions and disputes that frequently disrupted productions. Cast and crew members described disagreements over contract terms, script details, and even co-star salaries. On set, he often challenged direction or insisted on altering scenes to match his personal vision, causing delays and frustration. Some colleagues recalled moments where he reacted sharply to criticism or became visibly irritated when others contradicted him. These patterns created an atmosphere where teams felt the need to tread carefully, unsure how he might respond to routine adjustments or creative differences. As these stories circulated through the industry, opportunities began to shift. Studios grew cautious about hiring him for long-term projects, concerned that on-set conflicts could escalate or strain budgets. While Howard continued to deliver powerful performances, his reputation as a difficult collaborator limited the range of roles available to him. The tension between undeniable talent and challenging behavior became a defining part of his Hollywood narrative. 6. Miles Teller. Miles Teller emerged as one of Hollywood's most promising young actors, gaining acclaim for roles that showcased his intensity, emotional nuance, and sharp dramatic instincts. Audiences saw him as a rising star with the potential to anchor major films, while filmmakers praised his commitment and ability to deliver grounded, compelling performances across genres. On set, however, Teller's strong-willed personality sometimes created friction. Several productions reported disagreements stemming from his refusal to accept direction he felt was unnecessary, leading to extended debates that slowed the pace of shooting. Co-workers described moments where sarcasm or dismissive comments disrupted morale, and some crew members recounted incidents where his frustration spilled into visible irritation during complex scenes. These behaviors, though sporadic, produced tension that made collaboration more challenging for teams expecting smoother communication. As rumors of difficult interactions spread, Teller's reputation became more complicated. Directors acknowledged his talent, but weighed it against the unpredictability he occasionally brought to a project. Studios became selective, choosing him cautiously for roles that aligned with his temperament and style. While he continued to earn strong critical praise, the perception of being hard to work with became a notable factor in discussions about his career trajectory. 5. Lea Michele. Lea Michele rose to stardom as the powerhouse voice and central figure of a hit musical television series, earning recognition for her commanding performances and polished Broadway-trained presence. Her public image suggested discipline, ambition, and a work ethic capable of driving a production with confidence and professionalism. Behind the scenes, however, former castmates and crew described conduct that painted a more troubling picture. Reports detailed moments when she allegedly belittled colleagues, created hostile working conditions, or reacted harshly to perceived mistakes. Some co-stars said they felt intimidated or dismissed, while others recalled days overshadowed by confrontational exchanges that derailed rehearsal schedules. Crew members hinted at a hierarchy enforced through attitude rather than collaboration, turning what should have been creative teamwork into a stressful environment. As these accounts surfaced publicly, Michelle's reputation experienced a dramatic shift. Industry insiders reevaluated her suitability for ensemble productions, wary of potential conflicts and negative publicity. Opportunities slowed, and the image of the disciplined star became intertwined with allegations of toxic on-set behavior. Although she continued to work and address the controversies, the fallout remained a significant part of her professional identity. 4. Jennifer Lopez. Jennifer Lopez built her reputation as a global superstar, whose talent, discipline, and polished image made her one of entertainment's most recognizable figures. To audiences, she projected confidence, glamour, and professionalism, seamlessly transitioning between music, film, and television. Her public persona suggested a perfectionist devoted to her craft. On set, however, Lopez became known for demanding behavior that often tested the limits of cast and crew. Several productions reported extensive writer requirements, strict rules about interactions and expectations that stretched resources thin. Colleagues described moments where she insisted on reworking scenes to better showcase her role, causing delays in tightly scheduled shoots. Some co-stars felt she created a hierarchical atmosphere with communication funneled through intermediaries rather than direct conversation, making collaboration difficult. These behaviors fostered tension, particularly on ensemble-driven projects, requiring flexibility and openness. As these stories circulated, Hollywood grew more cautious about accommodating her requirements. While Lopez remained a major star, directors recognized that working with her meant navigating logistics and attitudes that could strain morale. Studios continued to cast her in select roles, but approached productions with heightened preparation. Her legacy remained strong, yet the perception of challenging on-set behavior became an enduring part of her industry reputation. 3. Marlon Brando. Marlon Brando stands as one of cinema's most influential figures, celebrated for revolutionizing acting with his raw emotional truth and magnetic presence. Audiences viewed him as a genius whose performances reshaped Hollywood's understanding of realism. His public image blended mystery, brilliance, and rebellion, a legend who refused to follow conventional expectations. Behind the scenes, however, Brando was notorious for behavior that tested even the most patient directors. He famously refused to memorize lines arriving on set, with cue cards hidden around the scene, forcing constant retakes. Crews recalled long hours wasted as he resisted blocking challenged instructions or improvised in ways that disrupted continuity. On certain productions, he clashed openly with co-stars, creating friction that dragged entire schedules into chaos. His refusal to compromise, though rooted in creative vision, often left colleagues exhausted and productions over budget. Despite the difficulties, Brando's talent ensured continued opportunities, but filmmakers approached him with caution. Many believed the unpredictable behavior was worth the artistic payoff, while others avoided him altogether. By the final stages of his career, his reputation for on-set turmoil became as legendary as his acting, cementing a complex legacy of brilliance mixed with frustration. 2. Christian Slater. Christian Slater entered Hollywood as a charismatic leading man whose edgy charm and youthful intensity made him one of the most recognizable stars of his era. Audiences admired his rebellious energy, and studios saw him as a performer capable of anchoring dramatic and action-driven films with distinctive appeal. On set, however, Slater developed a history of clashes stemming from unpredictable moods and confrontational reactions during high-pressure scenes. Some productions reported that he challenged direction abruptly, causing arguments that halted progress. Crew members described tension created by sudden emotional shifts, making it difficult to anticipate his engagement from day to day. At times, frustrations over creative details escalated into behavior that left colleagues uncomfortable or unsure how to proceed. These patterns undermined the sense of stability needed for smooth production. As these stories accumulated, studios began approaching him with caution. While his talent remained respected, filmmakers weighed the risks of on-set disruption when considering him for major roles. Over time, Slater's reputation became divided between early promise and the complications that followed him through multiple sets, reshaping the trajectory of his Hollywood career. 1. Steven Seagal. Steven Seagal once embodied the larger-than-life action hero, captivating audiences with martial arts, prowess, stoic intensity, and an aura of invincibility. His public image portrayed him as a disciplined, heroic figure who brought authenticity to action cinema, making him a dominant presence throughout the 1990s. Behind the scenes, however, Seagal became infamous for behavior that left lasting negative impressions on coworkers. Numerous productions described him as dismissive of direction, refusing choreography adjustments, and insisting on rewriting scenes to enlarge his character's importance. Some stunt performers recounted situations where he performed actions unpredictably, raising safety concerns. Crew members described an atmosphere of discomfort due to his abrupt manner, rigid control over creative choices, and unwillingness to collaborate. Tensions frequently escalated when he disregarded time constraints or ignored technical limitations, causing delays and frustration across departments. As these incidents grew more widely known, studios distanced themselves from him. His box office draw declined sharply, and directors shifted toward actors who brought reliability rather than conflict. Seagal's reputation became inseparable from stories of uncooperative on-set behavior, marking one of Hollywood's most dramatic falls from industry favor. Hollywood loves to polish its stars, to wrap them in glamour, and present them as icons who can do no wrong. But behind every flawless performance is a set full of people who witnessed the truth, the tension, the ego, the clashes that never make it into interviews or promotional tours. These 25 stories are only a glimpse into the side of filmmaking. The public rarely sees a reminder that talent and temperament don't always live in the same person. Some of these actors rebuilt their reputations. Others never recovered. And in a world where word travels fast, the memory of difficult behavior can last far longer than any box office hit. If you want more deep dives into the hidden world behind the cameras, the secrets, the scandals, the careers that rose and crumbled, make sure you're here for the next countdown. There are plenty more stories Hollywood hopes you'll never hear.